Hello and welcome to another episode of My Chat With by AussieTheatre.com. When COVID-19 shut down theatres around the world, companies had to quickly adapt to the changing landscape. Driven by two key priorities, to create opportunities for artists and to continue to deliver the wonder of opera to audiences, Opera Queensland established an Aria A day. Over 100 arias later, I wanted to find out more about the project. My name is Peter Snee, and this is My Chat with Patrick Nolan. Hello.
Hey, Peter.
Why don't you start by telling me a little bit about the An Aria A Day project and how it came about?
When the virus hit, we became immediately apparent that a lot of our artists were going to find themselves out of work. When people started shutting the theatres down, and that sense that gathering in rooms full of people was not something that was going to be happening anytime too soon. That's what we do. In the theatre, we gather in rooms full of people and share our art, and that's kind of the nature of the performing arts. That it's based on that sort of fundamental exchange of humans gathering and having a group experience. And so when that was obviously not going to be happening for some time, we immediately felt we had to create opportunities for artists to both have an opportunity for employment, for paid employment, but also have an opportunity to sort of continue to play their craft, show us their craft and develop themselves as artists, because the very act of being a performer is you become better at doing it by doing it. It's not something if you stop, particularly when you're as a singer, you have to keep your vocal cords warm and in good shape. It's we often draw a comparison between singers and elite athletes in terms of the technical and physical demands that are placed on them as on their physiology.
Right.
So that was it. We thought, well, how can we do that? How can we give as many people as an opportunity as possible? And sort of in conversation, it was said, oh, let's do an aria a day. And I think someone said an aria a day keeps the doctor away, and that kind of resonated in the context of the virus. And so we started to invite people, and we started off just by inviting all the artists that had sung with us in the last couple of years. And as back in March, I don't think anyone had any idea how long this thing was going to carry on for, or what the depth of its impact was going to be. And so we sort of set off on this adventure, not knowing where it was going to end up, and here we are 100 arias later, still going strong.
So the project was initially 100 arias for 100 days.
No, project was initially an aria a day.
Right.
That was it. So I did a little launch video, and in that launch video I said we're going to sing you an aria a day for as long as it takes until we're back in the theatres. Right. And we've gone back into the theatres, so we could wind the program up, but we've just had such a positive response to it. We didn't, there's still, yes, we're back in the theatres, but we're not completely back in the theatres by any stretch. Yeah.
You mentioned that you initially invited performers that had performed in the last two years. How easy was it to find people to come on board? Was the response rapid?
Yeah, it was, and I guess sort of one of the things that how we framed the whole project was that we were very conscious of the fact that people were stuck at home and that the sort of technology that was available to them was, you know, not going to be recording studio quality, or you know, no costumes, no sets, etc. So it was very much framed in a way that it was about, we want you to just sing songs that you love to sing, from the, you know, your a place in your home where you are comfortable. And so it was very much a lo-fi sort of idea. Was that, you know, that wherever you may be and however you can make it happen, that's what we want to see and hear. And of course, we didn't, you know, we said you can do whatever you want. And over the 100 songs that we've had so far, there's been many different variations, and from people sort of sitting in their tiger slippers in with their feet up in their lounge room, or indeed someone singing a scenario from their living room in Paris, and she got to the culmination of the aria, and she took off a dressing gown that she had on, and she was in this fabulous night dress, and she had Ugg boots on as well, just as to remind us that even though she was in Paris, her heart was still very much in Australia.
Let's take a listen to Ali McGregor first.
Children will listen. Careful the wish you make. Wishes are children. Careful the path they take. Wishes come true, not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children will listen. Children will listen. Children will listen.
So can you tell us a little bit about that performance by Ali McGregor?
Yeah, so Ali was actually in the production that we were about to launch when the virus hit, called Lorelei. We were due to open in the next week, and we had to call all the artists the Friday before they were due to open the following Friday and say, we're really sorry. It's not, no, they were due to start rehearsing the next week. You know, it wasn't going to happen. And so, we asked them, actually, we asked the 3 artists who were involved in that show, if they would just sing a song from the show that we could, so when we sent it out to all the ticket buyers to say, you know, unfortunately we've had to cancel the production, here's a little song. And that was also a really important inspiration for an Aria A, because that song got such a warm response, and so many people were so grateful to at least hear something from the opera that was being cancelled. That we then went on, you know, that then fed into an Aria A. And with this song of Ali's, it's a song from Into the Woods by Stephen Sondheim, and Ali actually recorded it twice, and the first time she did it with a microphone, and it was you know, very beautiful. The music was very beautiful, but I said, you know, I feel like I knew she was locked down at home with her 2 children, and I said, I feel like, you know, maybe if you were to share it with one of your daughters, that would just give it a little bit more of a sense of the song, because it's about talking to your children and looking after them as they grow up. And so Ali had a really horrible day. You know, I think they'd also, at the beginning of lockdown, they got a puppy, and I think the puppy, you know, that this just before she sang the song, she'd trod in some of the puppy's do, and her child wasn't very well, and she said, Jesus, if you know, this isn't sort of quintessential motherhood, then I don't know what is. So she just, as she was putting her daughter to bed, she turned on the camera and sang the song, and it's a really beautiful recording. And I think there's a quality to that, to her performance there, that is in many ways captures what an Aria Day is all about. It's you know, it's about sort of sharing the song in as present a way as you possibly can in this medium. And I thought she does a really beautiful job.
Okay, so next up we've got Marcus Kora. Can you tell me a little bit about Marcus's performance?
So yeah, Marcus was due to be in the next show that we had coming up, and we'd sort of been holding out hope that was to open in July. And that was Brand New Day, the musical that had come out of Broome and was in the process of touring Australia, and was due to premiere in Brisbane in July this year, and again we had to cancel it. And Marcus is a Queenslander, and he's a First Nations artist, and a really beautiful singer, and he was the star of Brand New Day. And so again we said, you know, would you sing us a song? And Marcus really generously sang us one of his original songs.
Do you want to introduce this track?
So this is Marcus Kora, and we presented this on the final day of National Reconciliation Week this year, and this is an original song that Marcus wrote called Fragmented Pieces.
What have you done? Where do we go from here? We can rise with the sun or live in the shadows of fear. This time it is hard to find the words that are on my mind, and the feelings I feel can't be denied. Fragmented pieces of stories untold, I can feel my heart beating for all that is lost. I can see the past moving, it's reaching out to me through fragmented pieces, fragmented pieces, fragmented pieces of stories untold. I can feel my heart beating for all that is lost. I can see the past moving, it's reaching out to me through fragmented pieces of an oppressed history.
Just a third performance, just three that we've selected from the amazing 100 or over 100 that have performed so far. We've got Jessica Odonoghue. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Jessica's performance and how that came about?
Jessica's performance we presented for the 100th, for the 100th aria that we had presented, and you know, we're both, you know, sort of thrilled that we've been able to feature 100 different songs and 100 different artists. I think we've had singers from four continents or 3 continents in 11 countries, or maybe they've sung songs in 11 different languages. And including one of them being a First Nations language. There was one of the songs is a Noongar song that comes out of Western Australia, and yeah, and over, I think it's 136 artists have been involved when you include the accompanists as well in the program. And so for the 100th, we wanted to do something special, and Jessica is singing a song from an Australian opera that was written, premiered about 3 or 4 years ago by an Australian composer called Mary Finsterer. And Mary kind of works in this opera in a really beautiful way with Baroque music. It's because it's a story set in that time in history, and so she sort of plays with the style of singing that is very Baroque. And Jessica sings this song in a most exquisite, pure way, and she's accompanied by a young conductor pianist called Jack Simons, who's the artistic director of an opera company in Sydney called Sydney Chamber Opera, who are doing some really wonderful work with new Australian productions and new Australian operas. And so we thought it was great to just acknowledge that, that there is a really rich culture of opera in Australia, and that there are operas that are being composed and performed and embraced by audiences. And so we felt what better time to celebrate that than on the 100th Aria.
Well, let's take a listen to Jessica now. What's Opera Queensland's plan moving forward? Will you continue to do the arias online, or are you looking to transition away from the digital space and back into live entertainment as fast as possible?
We're definitely looking at getting back into the theatre, and we're currently talking to QPAC about the possibility of doing some concerts there later this year, which would be really wonderful. Hopefully we'll be able to make an announcement about that soon. But the other thing that, and I'm sure people are aware of this, is that a lot of the emphasis is being put on creating work outdoors as well, because it's a safer space to be in terms of, the transmission of the virus. So we're doing a lot of research around where we might create some performances and engage with audiences in outside of theatre spaces as well. And so I think, and I don't think this virus is going to go away anytime too soon. I think we're going to have to learn how to live with and respond to and be creative around this virus for a good while yet. And with that in mind, we're approaching our programming thinking from three separate strands. One is looking for the opportunities where we can to work in the theatre. When you're working to 50% houses, that's tricky. It just makes the numbers tricky. And then looking at creating work in spaces that are not in the theatre, like factory spaces, outdoor venues, galleries, spaces where people can gather and that are acoustically supportive, because that's something that we need, but where people can be safely gathered. It's like in terms of all the conditions that the health department need us to observe. So that's the second stream, and then the third stream is the digital. Right? And I think digital will become an integral part of our programming for good now, I imagine. So we're actually looking at setting our studio up as a streaming space, so that anything we do in the studio we will also offer as an online experience. And we will continue to explore other ways in which we can create work in that space as well.
What message would you have to any audience members that are itching to get back into the theatre and they'd love to see some Opera Queensland work live
The first thing I would do is encourage them to sign up to our newsletter, because that's the way that you'll hear about what we're doing as quickly as possible. And then, yeah, that really, so we'll be letting people know. We'll be shouting it from every rooftop when we go back into the theatre. But it's a really good way to keep in touch with all the different things we're doing is to go to our website and sign up to our newsletter. And yeah, that's the way to keep in touch with our programming for sure.
Great. And in the meantime, if people want to check out all the arias that Opera Queensland has, they're all available on the Opera Queensland YouTube channel, completely free. People can
completely free.
Subscribe, check those out.
Please do. I think it's called Opera Queensland TV on YouTube, and we're also on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities to connect with us.